Be sure to like this video by clicking the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel.
Okay, so let's talk about that day. And I understand that this may trigger some emotions for you, but let's just go back in time to that day. Where were you exactly? I know you said you were working out of town.
Well, I had came back from out of town. The day I found out that he wasn't mine.
Yes.
It was. I want to say it was March the 23rd, 24th, 2009.
I can imagine a date like that, you wouldn't forget it.
Yeah. It was my little cousin's birthday, so I think the 23rd. So I had followed up. I did what she told me to do because I hadn't got my test results back yet, and so.
When you say followed up with what she said to do,
She
by
was like
calling the
by
facility?
calling them, just
Okay.
calling the facility, and so I ended up. I was on. At the time, I was on 161 in Irving, and I called, and so the lady, she asked me a bunch of information, you know, to tell me that she asked me if I was sure I wanted the results over the phone. So now I'm laughing because I'm like, well, yeah, like, you know, and so she gave them to me, and she was like, in the case of Myra Morrell Johnson Jr., Myra Morrell Johnson Sr. is like 98.6% not the father, like basically. So I like, you know, I'm thinking it's a full 100 or it's whatever.
And you're driving at this point.
I'm driving. And so I merged over to just kind of ask. I heard her the first time, but you know, I just asked her to confirm it. And she told me again, she was like, yeah, there's no chance that that you're the father. And when she said it again, I was like, I just hung up. And
in that moment, did you know that, you know what, this is what I probably thought all along, but I didn't want to face it? Or were you in total disbelief?
Nah, I was really in total disbelief. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it was never, I didn't take the DNA test with the intention of him not being mine.
All right.
You know, by that time, because at that time I wasn't on child support yet. And so I was just shocked. Actually, I take it back. Actually, I was on child support because that was the idea that I was trying to fight to. All I wanted to do was get off of child support.
After
I
results
found out,
came
because I wanted to stay in this life, and I wanted to, you know, I was hurt, you know, by finding out he wasn't mine, but I still wanted to, because he was getting ready to turn 5, so I was all he knew. And he got my whole name, so it was like, yeah, he's not my child, but I've been raising him like mine, but I didn't want to be held legally responsible at the time, and so
Okay.
that's when that AOP came back to, you know, bite me.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How was that conversation with the mom after you found out what the results were?
Well, you know, like, to be honest with you, she didn't do what I thought she would have done in that sense, because to be honest with you, she had already called and found out.
How did you find that out?
Because later on that evening, after me and her, after I, you know, I'm pretty sure I said some not so good things to her or whatever. And that next day later on that night, she ended up telling me that she had already called and got the results, like that morning.
Oh, wow.
So when I got the results, I was calling her at work, and basically at the time she was telling them to tell me like she was unavailable. Like she was at work, but she was busy, and she was like doing nursing or something at the time. So that wasn't weird. But the
Okay.
fact that she hadn't called me back, and I had called a couple of times, that was weird. And so my anxiety grew, because I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought she just knew, you know, and was just like ashamed or embarrassed or whatever. But then when I found out she had actually called and got the information before I did, it made me feel even worse, because I was like, why wouldn't you
Share the information.
share the information with me? You know what I'm saying? Or why wouldn't you? And so they created a whole whirlwind of issues, because on one part I'm thinking, you know, did she know I wasn't the father this whole time? Or, you know, is this just a total shock to everybody? You know what I mean? And so that created a mixed emotional feelings. You know what I'm saying? And it killed our friendship at the time.
Understandably so. I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying about how that pretty much destroyed you all's friendship.
Mm-hmm.
What impact did it have on your relationship with Little Myron?
You know, in the beginning, it didn't really, cause he was still young. He was unaware of anything that was going on, and I wanted it like that. You know, so even though me and her, we wasn't necessarily saying eye to eye because I truly didn't believe anything she said to me at that time. You know, respectfully so, right? Because I've been thinking this, 4.5 years, and then I find out a whole human being is not mine. You know, so I had no reason to. I still tried to respect her, but I didn't have a reason to trust her or believe anything she said. So in the beginning, it was I would say normal as far as the relationship I had with him. It started to become abnormal because as weeks passed, like her nor her mom had even like really reached out to, I don't know, like I can't say I required sympathy, but it was like no kind of, hey, you all right? Or I know this gotta be tough for you. It was almost as if everything just kept going for them, And so.
Do you believe she and her mom knew that he was not your child, or there was a possibility he was not your child? And I'm talking about before the phone call.
Yeah, before the phone call, actually, no, I don't. Okay. I didn't. But then it was conversations after we had found out, and he's not mine, and that's a fact. It was like she couldn't even agree to see the point, like, you didn't think it was nobody possible? And so after talking to several older women and friends and relatives and most females or most women, I came to the conclusion, all said the same thing. It's like, if there's a chance that you might have slept with somebody else in the time you conceive, that you might not want it to be this guy's or whatever, but and she couldn't even admit that.
Oh, wow.
So, and it took years for her to finally, for it to click to her. She was like, well, I always knew it was yours. And like, you didn't, because they didn't end up being the case. But the fact that she couldn't really admit that like early on or see that, it created even more, like, I don't think I was asking for an apology, but just more like, come on, you didn't think it was somebody else.
Empathy.
Yeah, like.
Right? Like you can relate to this, put yourself in my shoes type situation. Empathy.
Yeah.
All right. Did we ever find out who the dad was?
Be sure to like this video by clicking the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel.